Are you ready to reset and rebuild your new year? If you are, then I want you to pay attention to what I'm about to share, and I'm not going to be here long today. We have about 7 days left in this calendar year, and I want you to know that as a high impact leader, someone who is hitting all the goals, knocking out all of the KPIs, you want to make sure that you stay focused on what's going to allow you to have the biggest influence and impact in the new year. And you cannot do that without first reflecting on this year, resetting what you need to do differently, and rebuilding your brand and identity the way that you need to do it. See, what I'm explaining to you is what high impact leaders do. This is actually what I do every year and have always done every year to prepare for the next year. So we're going to have a brief conversation today about 3 things, 3 ways that you need to get ready for next year. And when I mean get ready for next year, these are things, questions you need to think about, questions you need to ask yourself about where you sit in the place of your organization, where do you sit in the place of your family, where do you sit in the place of your community, and what do you want to see as an outcome for yourself next year. So the main point is you got 2 types of leaders that end the year. You got the first group of leaders who say, you know what, man, I'm so glad that I got through this year. There was a lot of uncertainty. There was a lot of adversity, a lot of change. I dealt with a lot of challenges, and I'm just glad that I made it through. And you just hope that it gets better the next year. That's the first kind of leader, the one that hopes that it gets better next year. But then there's a second kind of leader. The second kind of leader is the one who says, you know what, I'm going to carve out some strategic time at the end of the year to think about, to reflect on the whole year, what I did well, what I didn't do well, where I missed the mark, what goals I didn't hit, did I set myself up for success? Literally reflect on the entire year. And after they reflect on the entire year, they said, okay, what do I need to do differently? Let me give myself a reset, okay? If I'm resetting it, it's almost like you remember when you were younger and you were playing PlayStation or Sega with a friend or a family member, and the game started going south, okay? And you were literally down by 21 points and you didn't want to play anymore. So what did you do? You pressed the reset button and started everything back over. Well, you do the same thing in your business year, the same thing in your life year. When you get to the end, it's time to look and see what the score says. Are you down by 21 points? Are you up by 28 points? Or are you dead even? Whatever it is, you have the opportunity to reset. Then once you reset, the third thing that you need to do is to then rebuild the direction that you want everything to go in. So I want to unpack this a little bit. And I actually have put all of these things together in a document that I call my year-end blueprint for mission-driven executives. And I think I shared it with you all before. Let me see if I can bring it here up on the screen in order for you to see. This is the year-end blueprint for mission-driven executives. Now, this is an 11-page document that I put together that if you would like a copy of it, then you have to DM me for a copy of this. I'm not posting it online. It's not going to be, a charge. I'm not paying and making you pay me for this. This is a tool that I want you to use to set yourself up for success in the next year. And it's called the Year-End Blueprint for Mission-Driven Executives. In this is a page that gives you the opportunity to reflect on your year. And then I want you to then think about what do you need to reset and what do you need to rebuild. So I'm going to walk through just a couple pieces in this document. I'm not going to show you the document, but I want to give you the context of reflect, reset, and rebuild. So here's the first concept. The first concept of reflection is you have to reflect with truth. Now, when I say reflect with truth, this is not about your ego. This is not about for you to brag upon, how you won the company award for innovation, or how you got the highest employee engagement score this year, or how, the people, your peers evaluated you on your 360 and that you're doing a good job. No, that's all ego driven. all ego driven. Instead, I want you to reflect on some questions. And I'm going to tell you what these questions are. And I want you to write them down. These are simple questions, and they'll be very quick with them. And you can type them in the chat if you feel inclined to share them with everybody else. So let me give you what these questions are. So the first question is, where did I lead decisively? Simple question. Where did I lead decisively? Question number 2 is, where did I hesitate or default to comfort? That you fell back in your comfort zone or you hesitated rather than addressing something. Question number 3, what patterns of my behavior strengthened me this year? And then the last one is, what habits weakened me? Those are 4 simple questions that you should write down and think about and reflect on your year. What did you do well? Where did you strengthen yourself? What weakened you? What patterns or habits or behaviors? Where did you shy away from conflict? That's a real serious question right there, because a lot of times I know, and you know, the stuff that you deal with every day, you're told every day to pick your battles. Is this a hill you want to die on? And there's some places you probably shied away from conflict because you knew better, but you knew not to step in between those two leaders. You knew not to bring that information to your executive leader because it was just going to make things worse. So you shied away from the conflict. But here's the question. Did shying away from that conflict serve you? These are the things that you need to reflect on without ego. You got to reflect truthfully, honesty, without ego. Now, here's the second thing that you need to do. Once you've done your reflection, make some notes, get some clarification about where you are. This is what I call the reset with intention. Okay. So I'm going to give you some more questions, some more simple questions when it comes to resetting with intention. Okay. So here's question number 1. What matters most to you? I'm going to lay it out very clear. What matters most to you? Does your job matter most to you? Or does the company matter most to you? Those are 2 different things. Does your salary and bonus matter most to you? Does the city that you live in matter most to you? Does your family matter most to you? I want you to just be honest and reset on what's most important. Because if you reset on what's most important, then that's what you need to prioritize in the new year. Now, I suspect that money is good for you, and money is a motivator and a significant part of how you've been able to live the life that you have right now. But I know that money is not the most important thing for you. But I need you to think about what's most important. And this leads to the second question. What deserves my full attention? Second question is, what deserves your full attention? I want you to think about next year. What deserves your full attention? When I mean full attention, let's say you've been at your organization for 25 years and you know that at the age you are now, you probably got another 15, 16 years of hard work before, you go really live the life that you want to deserve. Okay. So do you need to give your full attention to the place you've been for 25 years? Or is that place not cutting it anymore? And you need to give your full attention to tightening up your bio, your profile, your board resume, your LinkedIn profile, because you want to find the next opportunity, your next level opportunity for the last 15 years of your career. Or maybe your team deserves your full attention at work. Maybe you love what you do and you love everything about it. And your team deserves your full attention. But you need to think about, as a reset, what deserves my full attention? Here's question number 3. It's a big one. What relationships need strengthening next year? What relationships need strengthening? Who do you need to be closer to? Who do you need to spend more time with? Who has the power that you need to be in closer proximity to? Who do you need to learn from next year? Or who do you need to support? The question is, what relationships need strengthening? You got to figure that out, because you need to be around the people that you want to be around to help you to do the things that you want to do. Next question. This is a big one. What commitments no longer serve me? You do a lot of stuff. You support a lot of people. You're engaged in a lot of activity. And you have committed yourself to a lot of things. But what commitments no longer serve you? I mean, I think we've talked about this previously about you being the first to ever do it, the first in your family to achieve that level, the one who's got the money and the resources to do more things for family. And you committed yourself to giving your treasure to people in your family. You might want to reevaluate how much treasure you give to your family or what you do give treasure for. Is it to bail that nephew out of jail all the time? Is it to pay everybody's tuition and want to go to college? Or is it the sibling who never gets their stuff together and every 5 minutes they need a loan that never gets paid back? And it ain't a $500 loan, it's a $5,000 loan that never gets paid back. Where's your commitment? What do you need to let go? What's no longer serving you? Is that board you serve on no longer serving you? Is it just not a priority for you? And that's okay. You want them to have a good board member, so maybe you just need to get out of the way. You got to assess what commitments no longer serve me. Last question. What skills do I need to reinforce? I know you're talented. I know you're successful. I know you know all of the things about all of the things. You went to the right schools. You got the right degree. You got all in the right training programs. You've been in every leadership program that you could imagine. But there's a skill gap there somewhere. And what skill do you need to reinforce? Where do you need to tap back in and go back to the basics, the fundamentals? Again, good fundamentals are everything. You think about basketball. There's nobody that's going to be successful in the NBA without the fundamentals of being able to dribble and being able to shoot. Yeah, you don't have to have a 40-inch vertical or 50-inch vertical, but if you know how to dribble and you know how to shoot, that's the foundation of success. So what are your fundamentals that you need to work on, that you need to improve? Again, that's what a reset looks like, is getting clear about what you need to do differently. Now, let me give you the third one, and this is called the rebuild. This is what high performance leaders do. They reflect, reset, and then they rebuild. So when I say rebuild, I'm talking about your leadership identity. That's what you need to rebuild. It's how do people see you? How do you show up strategically? But to rebuild your leadership identity, you need to do it quietly. This is not anything you announce to the whole world or you say, oh, I'm changing up. I got a new attitude. You come in with a new wardrobe and say, it's a different me this year. No, I'm not talking about flashing what's different about you. I'm talking about being intentional about how you show up differently, how you show up differently as a leader. Now, let me give you some ways to think about this showing up differently. These are not necessarily questions, but these are ways to think about how you show up differently. How are you reclaiming your time? What are the things on your calendar that have been stealing time from you that you need to reclaim back? Your work calendar, your personal calendar, your family calendar, your friend calendar, all of these different calendars that we got. How do you need to reclaim your time? What are you going to do differently next year? Where are you going to get time back in the day to focus on those things that you need to rebuild, to be intentional with the people who you need to spend time with, to work on the skills that you need to work on? What are you going to do with the time when you give up some of those commitments? When you get off of those 4 boards that you're on, what are you going to do when you reclaim that time? Think about that. Second part of it is this. What standards do you need to establish or reestablish? You might have set a standard for quality. You might have set a standard for focus or set a standard for how you show up, but you've let those slip over the year because busyness, uncertainty, activity, performance challenges, all of these things. So you got to go back to the standard. What is the standard? As Mike Tomlin for the Pittsburgh Steelers would say, the standard is a standard. But I need you to define it for yourself and for me. Because if I don't know what the standard is, you telling me the standard is a standard, that means absolutely nothing. I'm getting off of my Mike Tomlin rant right now. My frat brother needs to do better. I love my Steelers and I want him to do better. But we need to know what the standard is. We need to be reminded what the standard is. And you need to remind yourself, what are your standards? Third one is, again, going back to proximity to key decision makers. Like, you are who you hang around. If you're talking about rebuilding your leadership brand, your leadership identity, you are who you hang around. So who are you spending your time with? A bunch of stepping fetches who ain't doing the right thing? Are you spending your time with people who don't demonstrate the highest levels of effectiveness in leadership? Who are you spending time with? You got to think about that. You got to strengthen your proximity to key people. Then I want you to think about discipline. What are those habits, behaviors, rituals that reinforce your confidence? There were some things that you used to do that gave you the most confidence. It was a habit. Like, every morning you listen to the same 5 songs on your way into the office. That was a habit. That's a discipline if you played it every morning. What's the workout routine that gave you the confidence because you felt the best about your physical health? Maybe you let those things slide, but you got to get back to the discipline that gave you the confidence to be the leader that you know that you deserve to be. And the last thing to think about is, how are you going to show up differently? How are you going to prepare to show up differently? When you walk into a room that matters, how are you planning to show up? You got to see it before you get in the room. Like when I played football in college, coaches used to tell us to visualize yourself making a play before you have a chance to make the play. You got to stay ready so you don't have to get ready. So you got to visualize yourself. How are you going to show up differently in rooms that matter? Those are the things that elite leaders, high impact leaders do at the end of the year before the new year begins. They reflect honestly and truthfully without ego. They then reset their intentions around what they need to do differently. And then they rebuild their leadership identity of how they give themselves the greatest confidence. So I wanted to lay this out for you very simply and succinctly, because I want you to understand that this year-end blueprint can give you a game plan on how you make it happen. If you want a copy of the blueprint, you can do it and get it in 2 ways. You can send me a direct message on LinkedIn to say, send me the blueprint, Anton. Or you can go to info@antongunn.com, send an email there, info@antongunn.com, and put blueprint in the subject line, and I'll send it to you. Because I want you to remember, the last 7 days of this year is not about activity. It's about impact. If you want impact, you have to design your next year. You got to reflect, you got to reset, and you got to rebuild. That's what the best do. They reflect, they reset, and rebuild. So I hope this has been valuable to you. Again, it's a pleasure to be with you. This is our second to last live event for the year. I will see you again next Wednesday, and then we'll be into 2026 with a whole lot new content, fresh content to help you to excel, to be the mission-driven executive that has the most consequential impact and allows you to get the money, power, and prestige and impact that you deserve. I want to thank you for watching. Everybody have a fantastic day. Merry Christmas.